Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to the difference between alertness and awareness, Sadhguru. So alertness deals with consciousness and being aware of your senses. Awareness, I'm trying to guess what he's going to say as a definition. Awareness is, I guess, a bit a higher degree than alertness. Alertness is just being like alert of movement, survival stuff. Awareness is more of life stuff. But I know this is something that he says, like, people are alive, but they're not living life. People use their senses for survival, but are not living life. So now how he's going to define awareness as being alive as opposed to just surviving, now that I don't know. Hopefully that's the situation, but I was hoping for this to be a Jnana Yoga, but let's go ahead and give it a shot anyway.
Attention, how does attention come into?
Attention is just mental alertness. Mental alertness and awareness are two different things. Awareness is purely life. What level of intensity your life is functioning, that is the level of awareness you are. But mental attention, you can put it on and put it off. Your aliveness, you cannot put it on and put it off. It's on. What is the level of intensity is all there is. But mental attention, you can close it, isn't it? You can turn it on, you can turn it off, isn't it so? You can pay attention to something, you can withdraw your attention from something. Is it so? So that's a different dimension. That is the act of the mind. That is again not reality. It is just attention of the mind. It is the act of the mind. Mind can do many things, but it's of a different dimension. It is psychological. It is not existential. We'll leave it there. More questions? That's exactly what we went through just now. What's your name, I'm sorry? Huh? Kavita? We just went through that. You didn't pay attention.
Awareness, 0.
Huh? Okay.
I'm sorry.
So right
Alertness.
now, are you awake? First, are you alive? Yes. Next, are you awake? How awake? Awake enough. Awake enough to hear what I say.
No.
Awake enough to see where I'm sitting. Awake enough to know that this many people are around you, yes? Now that you're this awake, you're perceiving all these facts which are around you. You know this many people are around you, you know I am speaking, you know I am sitting here, all these things you're perceiving. How? Through what?
Eyes.
Through your sense organs. Not only through your eyes, through your ears and certain amount of other senses also working. So through your 5 sense organs, you're perceiving right now. Because you're at a certain level of wakefulness, you're perceiving what is around you, at least the physical around you, yes? You don't know what is happening in the person who is sitting next to you, isn't it? You do not know what's happening in this man's mind, you do not know what's happening in that man's heart, you do not know what's happening in his energy, you don't know all these things. But at least the physical reality you have perceived, you are wakeful to that point. Suppose you feel little drowsy, then you find you don't know what I'm talking about. Did it happen?
Seemed like it.
Suppose you feel little drowsy, what's happened? Your wakefulness has come to a lower grade. Because your wakefulness has come to a lower grade, do you see I am talking, but you are not perceiving? Yes or no? Ears are still open, isn't it? Nobody plugged it. Sound is definitely going and hitting the eardrums, isn't it so? What I speak is anyway going and hitting the eardrums or no? It is, but still you're not perceiving.
That's actually quite interesting, to say that, like, I guess I never really… perhaps I did think about it, but not as much. But there are people out there who you can see them like looking. Then all of a sudden it's like, hey man, did you see that? I'm like, what? Yeah, you were literally staring at it. Did you not see what happens? Like, no man, I was daydream. But what happened? Dude, it was a massive explosion. It blew up. You didn't see that? Literally, the sky turned bright red. I mean, it just blocked out the sun, and then it was like there for 5 minutes, and it all cleared up. You're telling me you were staring at it for 10 minutes, didn't perceive nothing. It's like, nah, I was looking, but I wasn't looking. Kind of like how he was saying, like, the lady was, well, I don't know. He was saying basically that her ears were open and sound was going in there, I hope, but it wasn't registering. Kind of like how some people can like stare at something but are just completely unaware of what they're looking at, even though they're directly staring at it. It's like the information is not being processed. Same with what is like Sadhguru was talking about the hearing. That's very interesting. I'm wondering, and it makes me now curious as to like what science has to say about that. It's like, why is that happening? Why are we? What happens there? How is the signal being lost, or is the signal still there, but the brain is not processing that information? Therefore, it isn't. Therefore, it's not there. It's really weird because you can kind of recollect. It's like, okay, I know I was staring there. I was aware of the last second of that, but between the time that I went blank to the last second, I have no idea what happened. What's going on between those two time frames? I do wonder what science has to say about that. It's very, very fascinating, and it's kind of crazy too. The fact that, again, you're hearing it, you're seeing it. Maybe you're tasting it, you're feeling it, but you're just unaware. The signals are still, in fact, hopefully firing, but it's not being processed in the brain.
Because your wakefulness has gone one level lower than what it is right now. So if it can get lower, you can also get it higher, isn't it, logically? So if your wakefulness move into higher and higher dimensions, if it has to get there, you have to crank up your energy. If your energy, life energy moves into higher levels of intensity, your wakefulness moves into higher dimensions of wakefulness. As your wakefulness moves into higher levels of dimensions, higher dimensions, your perception becomes clearer and clearer, and the penetration of your perception deepens. Once the penetration of your perception deepens, it changes the very quality of your experience. Right now you sit here, there's just a man sitting next to you. Suppose your wakefulness becomes such, everything that's happening within him you know right now. Now your experience of sitting here is very different, isn't it? Yes or no? Does it make it clear? Now if you try to raise your wakefulness, it'll not happen. If you try to increase your perception, it'll not happen. If you try to widen your experience, it'll not happen. The only thing that is in your hands is you can crank up the intensity of your life energies. You can only work on raising the voltage. You cannot work on increasing the light. Can you? Even physically, can you try to increase the penetration of light? But you can work on raising the voltage, isn't it? If you raise the voltage, all these other things will naturally happen.
Now I'm trying to think of like experiences or knowledge that I have on in terms of being just alertness. Perhaps awareness, maybe? I know like certain things that, again, it's how do I say this? This is the thing that I generally find fascinating about humans, as though I'm not human, is I talk to them, I ask questions, I ask what they think, and I put them in categories, you could say. The reason why I do quotes is just because I don't know what the right phrasing, but we'll just say that, categories. And then based on how people act, what they think, I start lining them up to what they seem to be closely towards. It's never fully defined, fully like, oh yep, this they agree with this is their category. It's never really like that. Humans are never really fits into perfectly into categories. But there are many different things that you can learn about people, and you can get an understanding of how they are and who they are. But it takes, obviously, it's something that you have to really get to know. I guess it's a pretty common sense thing. But this is the thing that I personally, I love hearing people's opinions on, and I get to learn about the kind of the, I don't want to say this, but because it's kind of what I believe, but at the same time it's very vague. The energies or the way people are feeling towards certain things, how the population is maybe swaying one way or another. But again, it's all so new, and it's something a lot of people do notice. It's pretty obvious to a lot of things, where how in the political spectrum in the United States, everyone sees this pendulum of how far each side swings, and this pendulum shows where the power is at. So it swings to my right, so the right becomes uproaring and getting crazy, and the further that pendulum goes to the right, the more crazy and crazy the right becomes. And then it swings back where the center, where the right's not so loud, the left is not so loud. It's just a quiet, peaceful time. There was a saying about like the peace before the storm, or the calm before the storm, and then the pendulum swings to the left, and all of a sudden the left gets crazy, it's loud, and then after a while it starts swinging back towards the center. The thing is that the pendulum is like swinging a little bit further out, and I'm a little worried. I think right now it's supposed to be swinging back to the right, but yeah. Again, this is something that I think a lot of people can kind of perceive. Hopefully, anyway. It seems fairly common. You can kind of see it. If you look through the history of how far, the media being one, obviously, and then also what, I'm not saying believe the media, but you can see what the topics that are being talked about, and then you can see where this pendulum's at. And I guess right now a lot of people are talking about the big divide in the United States, so this is where that pendulum seems to be swinging a little bit harder. Again, this is the kind of energies that are being shown from people, and this is the thing that I try to pay attention to: how people think, how people feel, how the population is feeling. It's not accurate. I'm still learning about it. Per individual basis, when you get to talk to people, it's a little bit easier. When you start talking about like grand number of people, it becomes a little bit more difficult. I don't know if this is what Sadhguru is talking about. I don't think so. I think his is a little bit more of the more personal level, while I'm trying to learn that myself, but also trying to get a feel of the greater scheme of things. But yes, alertness and awareness. And again, like I said earlier about the alertness, it's very interesting how people can stare at things or sit there, and then they hear and they see, and and something smelly's there, but yet they don't perceive it with their eyes, nose, and ears. It's like it just never registers, and that's very fascinating. I'm curious as to what science has to say about that. Then awareness is more along the lines of, I believe Sadhguru was talking about, like, he didn't really define it. Although, I think Sadhguru has said in the past where he knows someone, what the person's going to be doing. I can't remember. It was one of the videos. I can't remember. But I think it's more talking along those lines, probably. But for me, it's more reading how people generally think, what their ideas and views are, and you have a general idea of what a person is. But I will never necessarily put them hard in a category, but I'll have a general idea of how they are, kind of. The more and more information you get, the more and more ideas more and more ideas you have of how that person is. Again, and also, again, much like any tool or anything you learn in life, it's all dependent on how you use it, whether it become a good or a bad thing. And this idea of how I put people in categories, I whenever I know what kind of category they're in, I know how to ask questions from them. And this is basically how I kind of talk and analyze people. I don't know if I'm on the right subject now with Sadhguru here or not, but I was hoping for Jnana Yoga, and I've been looking for it, but maybe this is part of it, like the awareness portion, the knowledge portion, but I'm not sure. Anyways, I think I talked too much already. Alright, that's my reaction to the difference between alert and awareness. Again, let me know what you think about the people like who can... I don't know if it's ever happened to everyone. I'm sure it has, where we stare and somehow nothing's being processed until we snap out of it. And then also the thing about awareness, which I think my awareness is like a very small portion of a much larger awareness, but it's something that I'm mostly focused on. If that's something also that you do, I'm just kind of curious out there if anyone does that. Again, it can be a bad thing if you use it as a bad thing. It can be a good thing if you use it as a good thing. I use it as a way of understanding people, and I never necessarily say this is their category and they can never move. It's more along the lines like it's like drawing the shape of how I perceive them, and that drawing is based on what they say. So it's not me drawing them; it's them drawing themselves in my mind, in a sense. Alright, that's the end of the video. I actually wanted to say something at the end of this one, but I'll probably say it in the next video. Alright, that's the end of this video. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.